Joining us now on Sports Talk ATL, a man with over 50 years of experience in the business covering Atlanta sports. Bill Hartman, how you doing? Happy New Year's Eve to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here with you guys. Yeah, it's last day of 2024. How about that?
Yeah, and it's an exciting day for Georgia fans tomorrow. They will play Notre Dame. You were actually covering Notre Dame in 1980, or Georgia and the Notre Dame game in 1981. I want to ask you not so much about that game, but then you covered the 40 years before Kirby Smart and they went on this run. How amazing is it to see after 40 years of being so close, a guy like Kirby Smart and what he's been able to do?
It's a different world. I I've never seen Georgia football like it has been for the last 6 or 7 years. Um, we've never had these players before. We had good players. You had Herschel Walker. You had Buck Bellew. You had Aaron Murray. You've had plenty of players like that. But golly, this is an NFL draft that we're watching every game Georgia plays.
Athens is an NFL factory. I call it all the time. I mean, he's effectively replaced Saban as Saban now that he's taken a role in the media. I mean, you want to go to the NFL, you go to Athens, and this it's 2 national championships, but I don't have any reservations about declaring Kirby Smart the next dynasty of a program. And it begins this tomorrow against a Notre Dame team that might be the best Notre Dame team this Notre Dame at least has had in terms of the chances of getting to a national championship, as good as any in my lifetime. I'm much younger than you, but in my lifetime, this is the best Notre Dame team I've seen in a long time. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, it probably is, but golly, they haven't played anywhere near a Southeastern Conference schedule. And I don't know how good they are. They've looked good against the teams. I've watched them during the season, and they sure look good, but they didn't play Alabama on the road. They didn't play Texas on the road. They didn't play Ole Miss on the road. The Southeastern Conference schedule really proves who's real good and who's not real good. I don't know that Notre Dame could have held up with the schedule like that.
Well, they lost to NIU.
They may be the best team in a long time, maybe since that one that Georgia played in 1981. But they haven't played the caliber of teams.
Yeah, I definitely think this Notre Dame team, in terms of, because I feel like this is a more even playing field in terms of the tops than you've seen in years past. Like if this was 2021 Georgia, we're probably having a different conversation about this game, but they get an opportunity against a backup cornerback in Gunner Stockton. How do you feel? It seems like the Georgia players are 100% bought in. You heard some things Kirby Smart said yesterday about how the guys play harder for him. How do you feel this Georgia team's going to look? Are they going to look a little hungrier knowing, hey, we got to pick this guy up. We love playing for this guy. I really feel like that's the vibe we're getting about this Georgia team and Gunner Stockton.
Yeah, I agree. Let me make clear, though, I watched Gunner for 3 years at Rabun County. Back then, you guys were still in grammar school, but I was doing the high school football game of the week at Fox 5, and we covered Rabun County quite a lot. They would play Jefferson. They played Prince Avenue Christian. And so I saw Gunner for his last 3 years of high school football. And when he committed to South Carolina, I'm like, golly, we've let this kid get away. This is going to be a star. And, of course, he decommitted from South Carolina when Mike Bobo came over to Georgia. And so now he's a Georgia guy. I think that he can run the ball much better. He's a tough guy, probably tougher than we had in there before. But I'm all for it. I think Carson Beck was pretty darn good. He threw more touchdown passes than anybody else in the SEC this year. But Gunner's got a running ability that I think is going to mean a lot in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the toughness. That hit he took near the goal line against Texas in the SEC championship. I mean, I'm in the hospital. I mean, a normal kid. I mean, my neck is snapped. He's obviously a tough kid. I think I was kind of setting you up. I was thinking maybe you were going to say something good about Notre Dame. You don't believe Notre Dame has it, and I'm in the same belief. Notre Dame fans are starting to think they're seeing stuff through rose-colored glasses because they beat an Indiana team that had really no business in the college football playoff. There's levels to this game. There are levels to this. Right. Georgia plays a specific brand of football, and Notre Dame wants to play that same brand of football. They're not going to be able to outplay Georgia, smash mouth football in the trenches, running the football, playing a little defense. They're not going to be able to do that. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be an anaconda type, just a boa constrictor around a team that, quite frankly, doesn't have the Joes that Kirby Smart in Georgia has.
Yeah, we've got elite players going to the NFL. They've got Notre Dame probably has 4 good draft choices there. Georgia's probably got 12. And Georgia's played the kind of schedule that Notre Dame, I don't think, could survive in. If Notre Dame played in the Southeastern Conference, they may not have made the 12-team college football playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's funny because Notre Dame reminds me a little bit of Texas in the style of they play, and Georgia. But it's like I feel like we're talking about teams that do it at an elite level. We're talking about Georgia, then Texas, maybe a little bit below them. And then I do feel it's Notre Dame. And it's funny to hear these national pundits who watch that Indiana game, who watch Notre Dame beat on teams like Army and Navy, who do not have those level of athletes, and kind of project that they're going, hey, Notre Dame can run the football. Well, Notre Dame can run the football against Navy. They really didn't run the ball well against Indiana. They had a 98-yard touchdown run. Outside of that, averaged 2.8 yards per carry the rest of that game against Indiana. So I
didn't realize that.
Yeah, it wasn't like they went out there and just ran all over Indiana. And I think the biggest question with Notre Dame is how are they going to stack up against these elite defenses they're going to play? And it's Riley Leonard, right? How is Riley Leonard going to be able to play? Because he's been okay. He's had some flashes, but he hasn't faced those elite level defenses. And I think to beat a team like Georgia, when you look at what they've struggled with, it's elite quarterback play. It's the Jalen Milrose. It's the Jackson Darts. It's guys that can do it and hurt you in multiple ways. I don't think I see that with Notre Dame. And like Alex said, like you said, going up and just thinking you're going to run the football. I mean, Texas tried to do that a little bit, and it didn't matter if they ran or passed because they were getting sacked every time they dropped back. I have I'm trying to envision a world where Notre Dame goes out there and has a lot of success against this Georgia defense. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it. And shoot, it could be a 2-touchdown win. I mean, if Gunner Stockton is as good as I remember Gunner Stockton being, and is as tough as he can be, if he's good, the defense stops Notre Dame. It's just, can Georgia win by 2 touchdowns? And if Gunner's good and Trevor Etienne is good tomorrow, then I think it's 2 touchdowns.
I don't even think I'm going to go. I don't even think Gunner Stockton has to be good. I'm confused why everybody, outside of, I guess, the Southeast and maybe just outside of the state of Georgia, is confusing Notre Dame with a team that can beat Georgia at their own game. Notre Dame isn't Ohio State, where Ohio State's got Ferraris on the outside and they're going to throw it all over the yard like they did a few years ago in that New Year's Eve game against Georgia. Notre Dame can't do that. Notre Dame wants to play the game exactly like Georgia wants to play it, which is a terrible matchup. Georgia is a heavyweight boxer, Evander Holyfield, and they want to go and stand in the center of a ring and bang. And Notre Dame has got guys who are going to be selling insurance on Mondays. Like, yes, they had better guys than Indiana, but what is that to say? What is that to say?
I know. Yeah. I hope some people outside of our viewing area will see this. They'll get a kick out of all that.
Well, we're LSU fans. We grew up Georgia fans, went to LSU. So I'm rooting for Georgia just about as hard as any Georgia fan because I can't stand Notre Dame. Don't want Marcus Freeman to succeed. I like Marcus Freeman, but don't want Notre Dame to succeed. So I'm all on the Dogs tomorrow.
Yeah. So y'all both went to LSU.
Yeah, so
Yep.
yeah, we both went to LSU. So yes, we believe Georgia, but it's not from
It's
a
not
place
biased.
of we're Georgia fans. Like
Yeah.
I just believe, I mean, first of all, LSU's played Georgia. I've watched them every single game, and I know what they struggle with, and I know what they succeed against. And frankly, unless they're playing Alabama, they don't struggle against much. But it takes, I think, against these Kirby Smart coach defenses and the athletes they have, the one thing, anytime they really struggle, it takes a certain level of quarterback play, a certain level of versatility with that quarterback that can move and also hurt you in the passing game with great receivers. I don't see that on Notre Dame. I want to leave on one question from you, Bill, because you've been around the game for so long. You mentioned about Gunner Stockton, which I thought was awesome. You got this new world, and I talk about this with everyone that comes on the show, this new NIL transfer portal world. I want to get your thoughts on how much different the game has changed, and how do you think it's going to affect the future of the sport in terms of, the way we saw Alabama have so much success before that, how much more difficult it is for Georgia to replicate that success today?
I think one of the main problems is going to be this, that folks like you two who went to LSU, love LSU, in 5 years, your emotional attachment to LSU is going to start to dissipate, because you don't know if you're running back, and the same for the Georgia fans who, I live just outside of Athens at the place called the Georgia Club in Statham, Georgia. Grew up in Athens. My father was a coach at Georgia, covered them for 50 years. And so I've got some emotional attachment to Georgia that, golly, it's starting to separate a little bit, because the running back's Trevor Etienne, who played at Florida last year. And I don't know. Yeah. And I don't know where that wide receiver we've got this year is going to be next year. Is he going to stay at Georgia? And so that emotional attachment that Georgia fans have had with the Bulldogs for so long is going to start to, it's not the same emotions that we've had over the last 100 years for Georgia football.
Imagine, you covered Herschel Walker. Imagine the pursuit of Herschel Walker after every single season over those. People would be offering him millions and millions and millions of dollars from every school. Mm-hmm. And eventually it becomes about who's the highest bidder in a lot of these players' minds, which I totally understand. I mean, it's your life. It's a lot of these guys, especially running backs. You're not guaranteed anything in the NFL.
Yeah. And think of this too. Right now, the scholarship fund at Georgia attracts a lot of money, and folks budget their extra money to give to the Georgia Scholarship Fund. Well, is it going to become that instead of giving to the scholarship fund, I'd rather give the wide receiver out of Marietta $25,000? And that's more important than funding some scholarship. I think that's going to happen.
It's a crazy world. It's the wild
relegation. The relegation in the sport needs to come, and it needs to come quickly. It's not going to be easy, but I'm interested to see where this head is. Bill, thank you so much for joining us. First time on the show is really exciting. Go Dogs tomorrow.